Now we're going to draw this rectangle. We're going to model a house. So the final outcome of the house will be something like this. But we are going to use this component model in place, but we are going to try to do it with these dimensions that we have here at the beginning. So the first, we have to draw the following plan on level 1. We're going to draw this. It's 100, then we have 80, then 30. Okay, let's start doing it on level 1. I'm going to use architecture component model in place, and let's select the walls. I'm going to use extrusion, and the first is 100 feet. The second is 80 feet. And then we have 30 and 10 in this direction. Okay, so 30, 10, then 10 and 10 in this direction, and 50. Okay, so it's 10, 10, 50, and then 10, 10, and 70. So it's 10 again, 10, and that would be 70. Okay, so we have created this shape. We finish. And now we have to go 30 feet in height. How can we do it? Well, here we have the extrusion end. So by default is 1 foot. If we type 30, now the extrusion would be 30 feet up. Finished model. And there you go. Okay, so we have this extrusion. We can change easily this, but I don't want to do that. Probably in edit type, we don't have any information about it. Okay, so to be on the safe side, what we can do is this. So we have this level. So if we, by mistake, we change it, if we have created this level at 30 feet, then we can do this. Okay, so this is the first part of the shape. Now we have to draw this tympanum 15 feet in height. Okay, so this is 15 feet. So before doing anything else, I'm going to copy this level and I'm going to move it 15. It's 15 feet up. Okay, so this is level 45. And what do we have to do now? We have to draw a rectangle here. Okay, so on this face, we have to draw that rectangle. And to do this, we should have like a reference plane. So on level 1, if we are going to work with this face of this shape, I'm going to create a reference plane. This one, click name, reference plane 1. And now on this 3D view, if I use this front view, I can use again another model in place. Let's make it wall again. And I can use extrusion, and I have to set the work plane at this reference plane 1. Okay, and well, this is a rectangle, so we need to do this, and now that. Remember that we have to delete this one. We finish the model, and on the 3D view, we can move this in this direction and move it here. Okay. What's the length of that rectangle? Is just up to this point, so it's only 10 feet. So we can move it here and finish the model. What's next? Then we need another rectangle, another triangle. Sorry, this second triangle. As you can see, we have the same slope, but now we have this size. So probably we're going to need another reference plane, because now we have to draw the rectangle here. So I'm going to create another reference plane. I will name it reference plane 2. Okay, remember that we have 1 and 2 different reference planes. And now we are on the 3D. I click on the front elevation, and now I don't have any information about the height, but I know the slope and then the same slope here. So let's do it. Component, model in place, select we're going to select always the same category, walls. And I'm going to use extrusion, but I'm going to set the work plane at this reference plane 2. Okay, so now I don't have any information about the height, but I know that this is the slope. Okay, so what do we need now? We need to create the same slope from here. You see that by default, we can find this parallel line up to this point. And now we have to create a closed loop. We close this, trim, and on this 3D view, we move it in this direction, and we have to start here. Okay, this is it. And we have to go 10 feet away. So we can drag this up to this point, 10 feet, and finish the model. So we have created 2 triangles. We have extruded the triangles, and now we're here. We have this shape. Well, what's next? We have another triangle here. Okay, so in this 60, we need another triangle. Where is it? It is here. Okay, so now I'm going to work on this reference plane, on a perpendicular reference plane. So I'm going to create a new one, reference plane here, and I'm going to name it vertical, because this is vertical, the others are horizontal. Vertical reference plane, and I'm going to name it 3. On the 3D view, now I'm going to use the right elevation, and this is the height of that reference plane. Do we have any information? Okay, it's 30 feet. Good. So the reach is at 30 feet. So let's do it. Go to component, model in place, same category, walls, extrusion, and then I'm going to set the work plane at this vertical reference plane 3. Okay, and from this point to this point, So I need this line, and then from this middle point, I have to go 30 feet up. And now here and here. This and let's extrude it until this point there. All the way. There you go. Finish. Now the next step is that we have to extend this ridge up to this roof here. So let's do it. We can select this one, and just by dragging, you can use the right elevation. If I drag this shape here, we can extend this beyond this line, and now we have this shape here using a hidden line. Well, we can't tell, but there's a line here. Probably we use a shaded. Yeah, you see this. Okay. So now we have to continue, and we have to continue the model. What's next? Okay, that's challenging because we are going to move that edge up to this point. Okay, so we have to continue the slope here. So what would I do now? I would subtract, I would create a void and subtract this element here. So I'm going to edit in place this shape. And now I'm going to create a void form by extrusion. And on the front view, yeah, I have to create a void here. I'm going to set this on reference plane 2 again. And I'm going to build that void. Remember that I have to go beyond this part. And I can do this. And now I have this yellowish thing, which is the void. And I just drag it, make sure that the void includes the part that we want to remove. We can finish the model. If it doesn't work, it's because we have to use this option, the cut geometry. And then we have to select first the element that we want to cut, and then the void. There you go. Okay, what's next? Something similar, but you see that we have to extend this slope. So we have to cut this volume that we have here. So on this elevation, we have to extend that slope, and we have to cut this. So first, I select the elements that I want to cut, edit in place, and I create a void form by extrusion. Set. Now I have to set on a perpendicular at the perpendicular plane. So I will use this reference plane 3. I click OK. I select the left elevation, and now I can do the same. I can continue this slope here, and then I can go up. And then here, now I trim because it has to be a closed loop. I click OK. And now be careful. What's this? If we do this, we're going to cut everything, but I just want to cut this tiny element here. So I have to make sure that this void includes the element that they want to cut. And let's see if I finish model. Now it works. I don't have to use this cut geometry option. Okay. What's next? We're done with this volume. And okay, now we have to do this. So we have to create this kind of windows. And how can we do it? Do we have any information? Yes, I think this is like 10 feet away from this element. So on level 1, I want to create this like 10 feet away from this one. So I want to create a reference plane 10 feet upwards. So let's do this. I need just a reference line here. This is going to be 10 feet. And okay, I don't see that because it's a solid volume. But if I select wireframe, then I see this. Then architecture, reference plane. And I'm going to use this reference plane. And what's named? This is reference plane 2. I'm going to use this reference plane. I have created the third one, so this is the fourth. Reference plane 4, because this is vertical reference plane 3. Okay, reference plane 4. And I need another one because if you see this, we have the end of this volume here. So I'm going to use another reference plane 10 feet away from this. So this 10 feet, and then architecture reference plane here. And the name of this is going to be 5. Reference plane 5. I can delete these 2 auxiliary lines. And now I want to go from this reference plane to that reference plane. Where do I have to place this? Okay, yeah. So this element starts here. Okay, if we extend this line, that's the beginning of that element. But where exactly? Okay, so you see that we have a line here. So I need this line to go up to this reference plane. How can I do it? Okay, so I know that I need to draw a line here. If I'm in architecture and I select model line, all the lines that I can draw are on this horizontal plane, because by default, we have this selected. If I set this on level 1, this is the default level, everything I draw is on this level 1. Okay, so we can draw a shape, but this shape, if we move it, we see that it's on a horizontal plane. So I can't use this. So if I select model line, now before selecting model line, I have to set the work plane, and I don't need to create another work plane. Okay, so probably this is easier. If I pick a plane and I click OK, and I hover the mouse here, you see that when this square is highlighted, then I will be working on this vertical plane. But if I select this and the roof is highlighted, that means that if I click, now every line I draw is on this. It follows that slope. You see? Okay, so the intersection between this slope and this reference plane 4 is the place or the point at which I have to start this new line. Okay, let's try. So I'm going to select the front elevation, and now I'm going to create an architecture model in place to do this. And this is 10 by 10, and then this triangle is 5 feet. Okay. And I have to start on this line, but on the reference plane 4. So let's go to architecture, component, model in place, walls. I'm going to set the work plane on reference plane 4. Okay. And now I'm going to use extrusion. Make sure that we have set this on reference plane 4. Yep. And now if I click here, and this is 10, then I go 10 feet up, then with a 45-degree angle, or well, let's do this 10, go 5, there you go. This is the shape now, and I can delete this and this one to have closed loop, and click finish. And now I can go in this direction. For some reason, the reference plane is not working here, so I can't adjust this. Probably I can use other lines without using reference plane. So I can go to architecture, make sure that we set this on level 1. And if I go 10 feet away, okay, so this is the right starting point. And I go 40 here. So that's the limit. Yeah, because for some reason, reference planes are not visible in 3D views. So if I use now the align tool, if I use this and this, there you go. Finally, if we have to copy this, we can copy this 3 times. If I select this, so I'm going to copy here and here. And now I do have this shape. So that's a very basic shape. We don't have any space. Again, if we select the section box and we move it, you can see that it's black. Okay, so we don't have space inside. But it's the main volume, is the mass volume of this building that we have created. And now we can start visualizing things or creating or exploring these visual styles. If you click here and click on graphic display options, there are some things we can do without any effort. We can use, every time you do something, you have to apply consistent colors, realistic. We haven't applied in materials yet, so it's not a big difference. So I think the shaded it's the best option. Yep. Then in shadows, we can cast shadows and show ambient shadows. And that looks slightly better. So let's do this and click OK. So now we have shadows and we have shade here, and that's important because when we cast shadow here, the building is not floating. Okay, so if we don't cast shadows, it looks like the building is floating. But if we here we convey the idea that we have a floor. Okay. So if we want to create a nice or a nicer screenshot from this, we can use the hide options. So if we don't want to show the section box, we can just do this. If we don't want to show the scope box, we can right click here and select hide in view elements. And if we don't want to show levels, you can click here and hide in view category. So here we just have the building itself. But there are more things we can do just with little effort. If we go to level 1 and click here and explore the camera options, and you place the camera here and place the target there, you have a nice screenshot of this building. And if we explore the graphic display options again, we can use shaded and we can add shadows. Okay. And we can even use a background. So if we just create a gradient, that would be enough. And now we have a floor and we have sky there. If we use the sun settings, we can change the shadows, because in these shadows, we don't understand where the sun is coming from. So let's use still. If you use still and you change the time, make sure that it's we have daylight. Okay, so this is even worse because we need some contrast between, okay, this is what I like, at 9 a.m. or at 10 a.m. 9 is better, 8. Okay, so now we have shadows and parts of the building are casting shadows over other parts of the building. So it looks more realistic. Make sure that you delete in this view the elements you don't want to show. And this can be a nice example of what a basic mass volume is in Revit.